and gentlemen.
Opinions over statistics, of course. Gassed off journalistic. Come at me and all you'll get is the ballistic report.
All right, welcome to the Ballistic Show. I'm your town host, Ike Moore, and this is the show where we break down pop culture. We're going to stop the intro right in its tracks. We're going to go straight into it. It's been all over your social media feeds, all over your timelines, whatever you want to call it. It's been all over the news and everywhere. Everyone is talking about Kanye West. Now, the last time I was up here, we talked about all the new music that he's going to be releasing, and I said, oh man, he's been in seclusion for about 2 years, and he's just going to come out guns a-blazing. Little did I know he was going to be shooting off the mouth, talking about his political affiliations and then what he feels about slavery. It's like, damn, dude, we ain't seen you in 2 years. Hold off a second with the controversial statements. Give us a chance to breathe. Now, before I get into this, I want to make something perfectly clear, because I know I'm running the risk of getting political, but I don't want to do all that. We're just going to keep the focus on Kanye himself. And I want you to feel my heart for a second, because ever since this guy stepped on the scene, I felt the connection with him. In fact, people don't understand. Before this job here, I had another job. My very first job was a Kanye West defender. That was me. Everybody talks about the Beehive. Everyone talks about the Rihanna Navy. Nah, it was the Kanye West defenders. Of course, sometimes it was only just me, but I was there. Anytime this guy said something controversial or kind of stepped out of left field, I was always there saying, you know what? Sure, he might say things a way that makes things awkward, but he has a point if you really listen to him. Even when he went as far as calling himself Yeezus, I spoke out and said, look, the album might be trash. Well, with the exception of 2 or 3 songs. The album might be trash, but you know what? He is still one of the greatest lyricists of all time. We are looking at a legend with our own eyes, and we can't afford to just slander him just because he wants to be free thinking. I never said you had to agree with everything he said. Lord knows I don't. If that whole Taylor Swift thing happened, I would have just stayed off the stage, and if I had a problem with it, I just would have not gone to the award shows, because if I didn't think she deserved the award, then I don't agree with the awards politics, period. So I just wouldn't show up after that. So I see no difference from what he talked about back then to what he said this past week. I know the topics are very sensitive, and I'm not trying to sugarcoat anything. But it goes to what I was saying. You don't necessarily have to agree with everything he says. I mean, that's just him. He's expressing himself. He said he believes in free thought, thinking for yourself. He's more into exploring things on his own and not being controlled by one side or another side. Hey, if he feels that the way he thinks is what's pure to him, then who are we to judge? That's just how he feels. At the end of the day, for me personally, I just more so focus on the music. I know that's a lost art nowadays because everything is sort of blending together. And I know this show has a lot of fun of making fun of celebrities outside of their day jobs, but at the end of the day, the reason you love a certain celebrity, the reason you love Beyonce, the reason you love Rihanna, the reason you love a lot of these artists is because you love their music first. And yes, celebrities can have a voice and they can voice their political views or something like that, but at the end of the day, that doesn't matter to me. At the end of the day, it's all about their art, their music. And for me personally, I'm still a Kanye fan. I'm sorry. I can't help it. The man has made an impact on my life with his music, and I can't just throw that away just because he feels a certain way I might not feel. All that being said, thank God he cut his hair, because I didn't understand what was on his head the past month. It looked like honeycombs were just pasted on there. But before you start writing that hate mail, we got a few other things to talk about. More so, the aftermath after Avengers Infinity War. This is going to be a spoiler discussion. If you haven't seen this movie, please fast forward. I don't know how long this is gonna last, so this might take up the rest of the show. So just fast forward. We'll see you next time. Hell, this movie's about to break $1 billion by tomorrow, Hollywood Reporter is saying. So apparently everyone in the world's seen this movie at this point. This apparently will be the fastest movie to ever cross $1 billion worldwide. And it's funny because I saw a few Facebook comments that were like, oh, hopefully this doesn't crush Black Panther's record. Hopefully Black Panther gets... I'm like, dude, Black Panther is in Avengers Infinity War, and Black Panther and Avengers Infinity War are owned by the same company, okay? They all win. You're giving your money to the big mouse either way, okay? Let's get that straight. And this is going to rub people a little bit the wrong way, but as much as I love Black Panther, I gotta say, Avengers Infinity War crushes Black Panther. It is a marvelous film with much bigger stakes, much bigger action, just the culmination of 10 years of MCU movies coming together in something so beautiful. I wouldn't call this a review per se because everyone's done a review at this point. I'll say this is more of a light discussion on it. First of all, I remember the first Avengers back in 2012, and to see those characters up to that point meet was very cool. Now you got even more characters, even more things going on. You got Thor meeting with the Guardians of the Galaxy. You got Tony Stark, Iron Man, meeting with Doctor Strange and Spider-Man getting added in there. And then you got Captain America and his crew meeting with Black Panther and his crew. A big fight in the middle of Wakanda during the third act. It's just crazy. Plus you got Hulk pretty much scared to Hulk up because Thanos whooped his ass in the first 5 minutes of the movie. But he's Thanos. What do you expect? Thanos has got to be one of the greatest villains ever in a comic book film. Maybe in the film period. He didn't care who he had to fight. He didn't care who he had to kill. He wanted those 6 stones. And by God, by the end of the movie, he did it. Literally, by the end of this movie, with a snap of his fingers, half of the universe exists. So basically, Falcon is gone, Bucky is gone, T'Challa, Black Panther is gone, which really, I was sitting next to some black people in the theater. They was like, oh, hell no. Imagine your first introduction to the MCU was Black Panther, and you go see this movie and they kill off T'Challa. You're just like, what am I going to do now? Half of the Guardians are gone. Doctor Strange is gone. Spider-Man, which almost got me choked up when he's all like, I don't want to go, Mr. Stark. Someone help. I don't want to go. That was like, oh, man, not you too, Pete. Now, obviously, these people are not going to stay gone. And you're probably like, well, what are the stakes? That's what people don't seem to get. They're all like, oh, these are fake deaths. They're going to come back later. That's not the point of all this. It's all about now. How do we get from point A to point B? How do we fix all of the stuff, if not all, some of the stuff that happened in Infinity War? By Avengers 4 next year, we're going to have Captain Marvel, who is what they say is the strongest Avenger. I don't know much about Captain Marvel, but when I heard strongest Avenger, I'm like, okay, she's going to knock out Thanos probably. And then we're going to have the original Avengers. So what I'm saying is, people forget we have a whole nother Avengers movie next year around this time. So don't worry about who's really dead or who's not going to be dead. Even though I think either Captain or Iron Man's going to sacrifice themselves to save the world. But let's not worry about that. We got a whole nother amazing movie coming down the road. So we got to be excited about that. Ant-Man and the Wasp, which comes out in a few months, looks cool too. And that's going to do it for another edition of the Ballistic Show. Thank you so much for joining me. All my social media outlets include on Twitter @IkeBallistic, on Instagram Ballistic Ike Moore, and Facebook.com/Ballistic Ike. Until next time, I've been your talented host Ike Moore, reminding you it's okay to be ballistic as long as it's done responsibly. I'm out!